Welcome, darling. It's Violet Nocturne. Come closer, won't you? Tonight, I have a story for you. A story about a room. Not just any room. A room that exists somewhere between memory and fiction, reality and nightmare. They call it the Red Room. Have you ever noticed that in some old buildings, there's always a door that's avoided? A door that's never opened, as though it were simply part of the walls. A feature, not an invitation. They say curiosity killed the cat, but you and I both know the truth. Curiosity reveals what you wish it hadn't. Let's step into the Red Room, shall we? Though, don't expect to leave unchanged. Our tale begins on the 4th floor of an old apartment building, one of those labyrinthine structures designed during a time when architecture seemed to relish hiding more than it revealed. The kind of place where peeling wallpapers hold whispers of past tenants and scratched wooden floors echo footsteps you can't quite place. There, a young woman named Kira moved in. Kira was independent, determined, and no stranger to the relentless whispers of doubts that accompanied every move, every choice. But she told herself the doubts were only in her mind. As you do, don't you, darling? You convince yourself it's nothing, until it becomes everything. Kira's moving day passed without incident. She unpacked, hung her favorite art, and even became acquainted with the peculiar silence of the building. The silence that felt like a weighted blanket, heavy and suffocating rather than comforting. It was on her 3rd week that she noticed it. A door, one she swore wasn't there before. How absurd, she thought. She'd walked these hallways countless times, but there it was. A deep red door, its surface glossy like blood under moonlight. It was unmarked, tucked between her apartment and the emergency stairs. Her neighbors had little to say about it. Some claimed it had always been there. Others balked, as though they dared not even entertain its existence. But one elderly man, with trembling hands and watery eyes, whispered to Kira, "Do not enter." But of course, warnings only do so much to temper a restless mind. That night, Kira found herself standing before the red door, her fingers grazing its cold metallic handle. It was locked, naturally, but she could feel it, something behind it. It wasn't a door meant to conceal, but to restrain. You'd understand that feeling, wouldn't you? Doubt blooming like poison ivy inside your chest. By the 5th night, Kira could hardly think of anything else. The door became a pulsating thought, consuming her mind like a bad melody stuck on repeat. She dreamt of the door, dreamt of the color red spilling like spilled wine. And on the 6th night, she found the key. It was subtle, as if placed there deliberately, sitting on her kitchen counter, as though it had been waiting for her all along. The key itself was striking, antique, intricate, with a handle shaped like an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. And as she approached the door that night, heart pounding so loudly she thought it might burst, she slid the key into the lock and turned it. Click. What do you think she found inside, darling? Are you imagining horrors? Shadows clawing at the walls? Sweet Kira found nothing. A room barren, its walls a sterile white, its floors impossibly clean. The only thing noticeable was the mirror, massive, unsettlingly perfect, placed on the wall directly opposite the door. But a mirror's innocence is an illusion, you know. The simplest things can hide the darkest truths. The room seemed to hum softly, like the frequency of an unheard scream. And as Kira stepped closer to the mirror, her reflection looked wrong. It mirrored her stance, her movements, but there was anger in its eyes. Anger that didn't belong to her. She reached out to touch the glass, and her reflection did the same. But the moment their fingertips met, she wasn't alone anymore. She was in the mirror. The being that wore her face stepped back, the tiniest smirk curling along lips that now belonged to something else. It locked her inside, a prisoner within the reflection. Now the room wasn't empty. It never is. And the new Kira? It closed the door behind her, as though signaling the start of someone else's nightmare. The Red Room doesn't just house victims, you see. It collects them, like pantomimes in an eternal, unwritten play. I'll leave you with this thought, sweet one. Before you rest tonight and gaze into your mirrors, remember, what stares back might not be you. Be cautious. After all, a reflection is simply what we hope to see. But what if it hoped for freedom at your expense? Rest well, darling, if you can.